In the UK, many comic-related conventions and festivals are held throughout the year. We begin our journey at London Super Comic Convention, a new convention that was held for the first time ever this year at Excel Centre London. The London Super Comic Convention is originally from the US. Its aim was to bring a US comic convention experience to London. A large range of US and UK creators came together to sell their comics to the attendees.
Well, I think this is the first time that the London Super Comic Conventions come to the UK. I mean, I've heard a lot about the US cons, that they are like really mental and like really huge and stuff. But I've had a really positive experience. Like for me, I felt that the organisers have been like super organised, letting us know what's going on, giving us like our very own like exhibitor badge, and like, you know, checking us, making sure that, I mean, I got escorted to my table on the first day to check that I knew where my surroundings were, and you know, they've come up and checked they're okay. I think in terms of the crowd, I think it's been a really chilled out crowd. I think it's interesting because there's no real stereotype really, and even though Stan Lee is here and I thought it was very Marvel, you know, sort of setting, everyone's really open and everyone really loves comics, and I've had like really different interesting people come up and buy a lot of my stuff, and it's just really refreshing to have like a really relaxed sort of crowd. I think it's been like really good actually.
I'm Tammy Taylor, and I am a comic book artist who works as a full-time librarian.
My name is Graham Pearce, and I am the creator of Sergeant Mike Battle, the Greatest American Hero, a small press comic that I've been doing for about 10 years.
I'm Zarina Liu, and I'm a freelance fashion illustrator and a comic artist as well. Throughout my life as I was growing up, comics and manga was actually a big part of like my childhood and like sort of the culture that I sort of grew up to and grew up in. So I think the idea of wanting to aspire to sort of draw comics and sort of get involved artistically and creatively in that sense was something that kind of was embedded from a very young age. Also, my brother was really into more sort of indie comics. He was really into like Marvel, X-Men and everything. So I think I had a really good range of like comics to sort of read from. And I think because I love drawing, it naturally came to me that I really wanted to do storytelling as well. So that's how like the whole comic aspect sort of came about. Raising Jacinda is a comic collaboration between myself and one of my close friends who I met like in the small press industry. He's called Richie Chandler, and he currently writes all the strips for Wallace and Gromit in The Sun. And I think we wanted to do something that we could showcase that we would be really happy with. A small standalone story that was kind of hitting a nice teenage market, but a kind of story that adult readers could also enjoy. And because I really love the whole fantasy fairy tale element of things, he kind of tied in the whole story of Sleeping Beauty into a modern setting. And that took us, probably because of our commission work and the projects we were doing, about 2 years to finish, which was quite a long time. But it was great because it was a true collaboration between, you know, we both respect what each other does, and you know, he wrote the script, I went through the script with him, changed all the Americanisms to like British sort of wordings and styles, you know, and then he also changed, like, you know, helped me work on the characters to like work on them to make sure that they're exactly like who he had in mind. So it was a real sort of compromise, but at the same time I think that's the best way to sort of work together. We weren't sort of battling our egos, we were both like working together, really excited. It was really fun. I mean, I remember like Skyping each other a lot, like meeting up in like Nando's to talk about our work, and you know, we're really proud of like the end result. Really good.
I've been selling Sergeant Mike Battle for about 10 years. Actually, no, that's a lie. I've been doing the comic for 10 years, but it was 5 years before I had the courage to turn up at a convention. Every year that the conventions were coming around, I would always say, I'm not quite good enough, maybe I'll go next year. And I think I finished 7 issues before I decided to go to my first ever convention, which was Bristol in 2006. I always find that I don't enjoy drawing things that other people want me to do. Sometimes with commissions, people will ask for something quite specific, and I don't know, I don't enjoy drawing stuff that other people want. I like to draw what I want. I was once asked if I wanted to draw some of my characters naked. As you can imagine, I turned that one down because it's not the sort of thing I want to do. But recently, I was talking to a girl who wanted a commission, and I said I'm not really doing any because people just keep asking for random things. She asked if I could draw Mike Battle on a unicorn fighting Mussolini, who was riding a giant rhinoceros. I said no, but then the more I thought about it, the more I thought that is a really good idea. So I drew it for her that night, and I gave it to her the next day, and she absolutely loved it. So on special occasions, I would do a commission if it's something that I feel like doing.
Ooh, I've been setting at tables for like the last 4 years, ever since I graduated. I first debuted out at the MCM Expo in October with my first ever comic, Microwavable Fox. I've always liked telling some sort of story, but because I could never write, comics were an easier format for me. So I'm inspired by a lot of the Japanese comics, but also the European bande dessinées. I'm also inspired by the people I meet and the situations I encounter and fine art. So literally everything inspires me to draw.
Everything from films to computer games to comic books inspires me to draw stories and tell stories, and you know. There was a time when I wanted to be a film director, but I just couldn't handle dealing with people, and I was limited by what I could, you know, film around me. So by drawing, I can draw anything that I can imagine, and I can put it together into a comic book and tell any sort of story.
In recent years, there has been an increase in more affordable self-digital printing. The small press scene in the UK is very diverse. Interestingly enough, not all of them have a degree in anything art related.
No way! Oh no! I actually studied library studies and French, joint honours at the University of Wales, Aberystwyth. The reason why I went and did an actual studied a profession was simply because it would give me the financial means to do this, and lo and behold, I actually bought my first house this year. And well, comics are a very hard industry to break into, so it's not always going to put food in your belly. You need to have a day job whilst doing this.
I actually studied psychology at uni, and I always like doodled and drew, and I didn't really take art that seriously until probably about like 5 years ago, when I sort of gave up like my city job and felt that I really wanted to draw. Because I didn't have like any formal training at uni or anything, I just started going to like life drawing, like lessons, like looking at artists that I really liked at the internet, and also like at my local library. And I just started developing like a strange style of like, I think at least for the first 3 years, I was just drawing anything and everything, and it didn't look like this, what you see at the moment, but it was just basically a mismatch of everything that I really loved, and I was putting it all together.
I didn't study anything at university level in terms of comics. I went into media and film studies, and through drawing lots and lots of storyboards, I realised how much I love drawing comics. I actually drew a comic for my GCSEs when I was about 15, and I wasn't meant to be drawing a comic for my design projects. I was meant to be, you know, designing a chair or something that we would then build, but I convinced my teachers that drawing a comic was exactly the same as what everyone else was doing, so they got fed up of telling me that I couldn't do it, and I just carried on, and I drew a 40-page comic. But it was quite a stressful time, so I never drew anything again for about 5 or 6 years, and it was only when I left university that I decided I wanted to try and pursue this as a career.
Small press creators make comics out of love. Many of them create in their spare time. and at times it can be hard work for not much reward. It is common to see groups of creators sharing tables, supporting and inspiring others, especially the younger generation, to help each other grow into their full potential.
I came to this event today because my stepdad's quite into comics. He asked me if I wanted to come, so I thought I'd come and check it out because I haven't really ever been to this before. It's inspired me to think of my own comics and draw them. I never thought I'd do it before. I never realised they were so interesting. This made me want to draw more.